everybody. Jamie Wilkerson here. I am here to discuss gardening 101, gardening basics, seed starting, deciding on your garden, container garden, just different things to know, because here we are in 7A, B zone, and it's time 4 to 6 weeks before last frost. So those of us that like to start our stuff inside, it's time. And what I mean by 4 to 6 weeks, when you get your tomato plants, basil, or radishes, if you look on the back of the package, it'll say sow well in worked soil after the danger of frost is in early spring. So that is something, as soon as frost is over, this is a radish dragon's tail. So you do them in stir fries. They're great. So you could do that. I like to start them about a week or so before inside. This is your lemon drop basil, and you can do it after the frost or 1 to 2 weeks before. Go ahead and get it going in the greenhouse. Tomatoes, 4 to 6 weeks before. You're going to start them inside. You're going to baby those suckers until it's time to put them out after the last frost. So, excuse me. Right now, like I said, it's 4 to 6 weeks here in zone 7A and B. So we're preparing by planting our tomatoes and peppers and different things. Now, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went ahead and planted my cool weather crops. When I say cool weather, I mean brassicas, like my collard, my Swiss chard. I have beets, some radishes, rutabagas, cauliflower, broccoli, leeks, onions. I'm trying to think of everything I planted in my greenhouse, and it's probably been about a month ago. So they're all getting pretty big, and it's actually time for me to start hardening them off and getting them outside. Hardening off is something that's really important when you're starting your seeds. Once you get them going and they're germinated, and I say once they got their second set of true leaves, you'll want to start bringing them out for a couple hours every day, hardening them off so they're getting used to the wind, the sun, and everything, and bring them back inside. You'll do this over a week, 2 week time period, so they are hardened off. So when it's time to plant them, they're not in so much shock, and sometimes they don't make it when you plant them. Sometimes they struggle. So this kind of acclimates them to the climate. So always remember to harden off your seeds that you've started indoors. Seed starting is pretty basic: dirt, seeds, water, light. But it does get tricky on some things. And that's why, for beginners, I say pick your gardening space, amend your soil, and then pick your vegetables. Know, is my bed more shade? Is my bed more sun? Know which vegetables need sun. Know which vegetables need shade or partial. Like your lettuce, your broccoli, cauliflower, stuff like that, your brassica, stuff that likes cooler, they'll tolerate shade better. You don't want it too shady, but they still need that little bit of morning sun to dry the dew and stuff. So that you can go over towards the edge where your shade is to grow some of those. Now, your tomatoes, your peppers, eggplant, squash, all that likes a lot of sun, usually about 8 hours of sunlight to help them grow. Peppers especially love hot weather. You'll notice the peppers, like I have this pepper here I picked up. It's an Anaheim Hot Pepper. Now, I've already got some of these in the growing, in which I have a tray of them over there. I'll show you in a minute. This is one I picked up just to use as reference. This will be about the size they are when I put them out, and I've already hardened them off. By hardening them off, I'll just keep taking them back and forth, so they don't get sun scorched or anything. So they love hot weather. I plant this end of April, probably is when I put my peppers in the ground, maybe in the middle. I'm not really going to see a pepper on my plant till the end of May, 1st of June. Even when it gets hotter up into July and August is really when they're going to go into production making their peppers. And then you're going to have so many, you're going to go, what am I going to do with them? So, peppers, hot sun. Tomatoes, hot sun. Any of your squash and everything, which the fruit of it, or the vegetables, they're all going to be under the leaves. So you still want good air circulation. So I like to prune my tomatoes and my squash and stuff. That way I got airflow, so it kind of decreases the chance of mildew. tomatoes, I will plant them now in the greenhouse. Actually, I'm getting ready to plant them. I have several varieties here. I have, these are from Baker's Creek up in Manfield, Missouri. They have a catalog and a website. I think it's rareseeds.com. They just have awesome variety of things. This is Blue Beauty. It's kind of a dark one. Paul Robeson. It's another dark one. I've heard that these are excellent on tomato sandwiches. Being a Southern girl, I love my tomato sandwiches, so I'm really excited for this one. It says it has a flavor that is distinctive, sweet, and smoky. So that sounds amazing. These caught my eye. It's an orange peach. The orange peach, we find even more peachy, was a chance cross by a Pennsylvania farmer. So that's a new one to try. And this one is called Get Stuffed. Its middle is a cluster of seeds, so you can kind of scrape it out and you can stuff it and kind of bake it in the oven. So I'm really excited to try that. I probably have over 100 different varieties of tomatoes. You have Indeterminate and Determinate tomatoes. So some packages will tell you if it's a determinate or indeterminate. Let's see, I don't think the Baker Creek one does. I think they do inside their catalog. This is one. It's a super Italian paste from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. I think it's like southernexposure.com if you want to look up that. I was looking to see. No, it don't tell me whether it's determinate or indeterminate. Those are some, and you can look up the name and it'll tell you. Mainly the difference between indeterminate and determinate is your indeterminate tomatoes will produce and produce and produce until frost. Your determinate tomatoes, they only produce a certain amount of tomatoes and they're done for the year. So kind of just play around with that and see. You have cherry tomatoes, you have paste tomatoes, you have slicing tomatoes, you have, you know, there's so many different tomatoes out there. I mean, I have some called spoon tomatoes and currant tomatoes. They're the size of my pinky. Are they good for canning? No. But the kids love to go out there and grab a handful of them and eat on them. I like, when I'm out in the garden, grabbing them and eating them. So I can get a handful of them, throw them in a salad. They kind of just pop with that tomato flavor. They're really good. So that's why I grow smaller tomatoes. And basically, just for fun of it, we like to snack on them. And what's better than a garden treat? Peppers. Like I said, they like it hot. So don't be expecting a bounty straight off the bat. Give them time to, you know, get out there and do their thing with their roots. They're going to set roots deep, and that's why you want to water deeply. Also, when you're just getting started, we'll discuss that in just a second, but water them and don't let them dry out in the greenhouse. Even though they like it hot, be sure to keep them moist. Let's see, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers. You know, one way, cucumbers, they sprawl out on a vine, and if they're low on the ground, they still have problems with mildew and everything. Trellis them. Squash, cucumbers, anything that wants to grow on a vine, trellis it up. That gives airflow to minimize the mildew and any other kind of funguses. Plus, it's easier to pick, and who don't like walking underneath the arbor with, you know, vegetables hanging down? I love it. I have several cattle panel arches that I just look forward to every year with my fruits hanging down. I do beans, I do squash, cucumber. I add in some flowers because we all need flowers in our garden. I think I have a few here. Oldie but goodie, a zinnia or zinnia. Everybody loves them. Cut and come again is what this one is. It's just one I picked up, I think, at Atwood's. I have 64 different varieties of them because I love them so much. And I probably have more than that because that was last year when I counted, and I have found some more since then. They're just, my kids love them. You can pinch them when they get to about a foot tall, and it makes them spread out. So, and every time you pick them, it just encourages more blooms. And it encourages pollinators in your garden. Marigolds, nasturtium, this is a black velvet. Some of them are actually climbing, so you can plant them on a trellis with your things, and that'll encourage pollination. Nasturtium is actually edible. The kind of spicy lettuce leaves kind of thing, and I like to freeze the little blooms in ice for a nice summer cocktail or something. So So Nasturtium, they come in a wide variety of colors. Zinnias come in wide variety. One thing you want to start right now is your vines, like your flowering vines that take a little bit to grow and then flower. I do have some, let's see, oh, here they are, right in front of my face. This is a cup and saucer vine that I started about 2 weeks ago. I like to go ahead and get them started. That way, in about 4 weeks, they'll be yay tall. They'll be already starting to climb, and I don't have to wait till August before I get blooms. I'll actually start getting blooms in June, July. You know, by August my arbors will be full. These are cup and saucer vine purple. I have cup and saucer vine white also planted. So hyacinth vines is a good flower to attract pollinators. Another fun one on an arbor that would be fun for kids and even people that like to do soap is your Luffa Gourd. They are fun, but they take 120 days for maturity before you get your loofah. And I thought it was funny. Growing up, I think I thought loofah sponges in the bathtub actually came from the sea or something, but they actually come from this big gourd that you peel the skin off of. So they like to, they're really slow grower, like really slow. But once they get started, they take over. The kids love them. So I'm trying to think, you know, your corn, if you have a small patch of corn, go ahead, you can plant that. And when you're planting stuff, well, I don't plant it now, but plant it at the end of, right after your last frost. And it'll, you know, you want to plant it to where it's got a little space between it, but not a lot, because corn pollinates itself by blowing back and forth on the tassels and stuff. Kind of shake your corn when you walk by it. I do the same with tomatoes, kind of shake them to make that pollen fall. When you're planting your garden and you have everything out there, you have corn, you want it kind of in the back so it's not shading off anything. Trying to think of some different things. You know, you got your herb garden. A lot of them are perennials. Some of them are annuals. Some of them take over, like your mints are going to take over, so watch where you're planting them. Another thing to plant your container. So, I'm trying to think. Everything just about, you know, your basic stuff that you'd want to start. Your radishes, kind of throw them on the ground, shake the ground over them. Light helps germinate them. You'll have radishes before no time. Beets, same way. Lettuce, cool spot, little kiddie pool. You have a whole lettuce tub. Love it. Let's go over here and just start. Let me show you how I like to start things inside the greenhouse. I'm not going to bring water in the living room. I want to do this video outside, but it's so windy you wouldn't be able to hear me. So I brought this container and I mixed up some potting mix. This is Pro Mix, there's different ones for seed starting. That's what you want to use when you're potting up. I also like to mix in some coconut quartz. It just helps retain water. That way they're not drying out as fast. I just mix them up, pour some water on it, and get them like a wet browning mixture. You know, it's kind of crumbly and kind of doughy and everything. Now I just mix it up, and then I take these little trays, and even like your little 6-packs that you from plants from last year, you can use those, clean them up real good. I like to clean them and sterilize them, but then you'll just kind of pile it in, and what I do is I put it in and I just run my hands across it like that and make it where it's even. Stick it down here, or better yet, this is the tray I like to do. I set them in. It's just a solid tray, don't have no holes. I will set it in there. Always tag your stuff. I have all these little tags I got these off Amazon. They're just little plastic tags, and I use it's a garden pen. I think garden marker is what they're called. It's an oil pen. It's fade resistant, water resistant. So let's see what we're gonna. Let's see. What do we got? I was gonna start my lime basil. There it is. Lime basil. This says 8 to 12 weeks before last frost, so I'm actually kind of behind, but don't let that discourage you. Go ahead and plant it. Takes 7 to 14 days to germinate. Germinate means, you know, the little seedlings pop up. I check them every day. Hey, is anything growing? That's me. I'm a plant mom. 60 to 70 days plant maturity. Plant maturity means when they're going to start producing their vegetables. And this basil's case, you know, when it's going to be able to harvest the leaves and stuff, it says 60 to 70 days. So midsummer, I'll be able to walk through there and grab some lime basil to make and throw in salads or drinks and have a nice refreshing lime basil lemonade or anything like that. So usually planting, it tells you your seed depth on there. So what I like to do, this is 1/4 of an inch. This is a Sharpie. You can measure out on something, that way you know, 1/4, half, 1 inch, that way you know. You'll take and you'll just poke holes 1/4 of an inch in the center of each little cell. Not deep, it's at 1/4 of an inch, so I don't want much. And these little seeds, y'all, are like teeny tiny little black seeds. So, I mean, you can't even, they're tiny. And you got a ton of them, so don't worry about it. I like to put 2 per tray. Not tray, but cell. I probably got 2 or 3 in each hand now. Then I just take the end and just kind of push it back over. Anyway, sometimes I'll sprinkle vermiculite on top of there. That way if it's really fine, I don't want it washing away or blowing away. Because some things need light to germinate, so you just kind of sprinkle them on and press them in. That's when I'll put the vermiculite on there. Let's see, I'm going to use my pen and write our lime basil. Got it on there. Sometimes I'll write the date on there that I started. I basically use my little planner here. I write the date on what things I start. That way it just kind of keeps it up for me. That way I know from year to year. And we'll put that in there. And when you're watering, a lot of people want to spray it on top. Actually, watering it from below, it's a bottom water. It allows the roots to grow deeper because it's searching for water. Plus, it'll pull up the adequate needed water that it needs. And you're not going to overflow it and the seeds go out. And then you lose your seeds. So I'll do that, and I'll probably usually get 4 of these. I'll turn them sideways and get 4 of them in there. Let's see. I will show you. Let's set this in here so I don't make a mess. These are my peppers. Like I said, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 varieties here. I don't know if you'll be able to see. A lot of them are popping their heads. I planted these about a week ago, so there's a couple that's not doing too hot, which they do need water. I didn't let them dry out a little bit. But in the greenhouse, I have them on heat mats. You can order these at Garden Supplies, Amazon. What you do is when you're germinating your seeds, there's a lot of things that likes to germinate at a warmer temperature. Your tomatoes, pepper, stuff, a lot of things germinate around 70 to 80 degrees soil temperature. So that kind of, you can get different thermostats and stuff on different, you can get fancy on the heating mats. That one just basically plugs up, it keeps it around 80 degrees. And I do have a good turnout with that. I usually plant 2 to 3 seeds per tray or cell. And that way I can thin them out and repot them up. Those are 1 inch, probably, yeah, about 1 inch cells. I will then pot them up to 2 inches. And even before, like I said, when it's time to go out in the garden, I'll have a pepper in these little cups. I keep all of my little cups each year that I get by stuff. You can also order them online. So I always have extras I like to sell and give away to friends. So they're about that size after I've potted them up, and that's when I start hardening them off. Also, I want to show you, if container gardening, these, I'm not bringing the whole thing in. This is just part of, this is the top part. But this is your green stalk planters. There are 7 of these tiers in it, so it's pretty good tall. It's probably 4.5, 5 foot tall when it's together. There's 6 little cubby holes. Let's see, inside here, this thing pops off so you can fill it up. So it's pretty deep. This is actually one of the deeper ones. They have a shallower one. You'll just put it together. It stacks up, and there's 6 little cubby holes. So I'm actually going to take this butter crunch lettuce I picked up at Lowe's, and I'm going to stick it in each one, and that'll be my lettuce tier. I can eat on that, and because as I'm pulling off the leaves, it's going to start making new ones. Best part about it is you water in this top little thing. You pour it in there, and it has lines that shows you where to pour to, how much water, but it disperses it through all 7 layers. So this is awesome for y'all that have limited space, because you can grow tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, anything in these little holes, and you can kind of let them trail down. I have one that's strawberries. I love my strawberry tower. I have 2 of these, and I'll probably get more because I just love them. They're convenient. You can do herbs in them. That way you don't have to worry about walking out to the garden. You have your little herb tower. So I wanted to share that with y'all to give y'all a little example. There's limitless on the containers. Tags. I tag everything. I put it in my thing. Let's see. You know, we talked about our shade plant, stuff that likes things. Our germination and maturity. Your germination rate is going to depend on the soil temperature. So pay attention. A lot of times it's on the back. Sometimes it's not. I don't think. This radishes don't really say. It's full sun, so I'll know to plant this one in the full sun. This is a shooting star eggplant. Eggplants, you do like warmer weather. They're prone to flea beetles, so watch that. There can be contrary, but I love eggplant. They even have some little fairy size ones. They don't get quite as big as the others. Those would work great in containers. There's micro tomatoes. There's micro peppers. There's tons of different things for container gardening. Trying to see what else we need to discuss. Seeds, don't be overwhelmed with seeds. Seeds, I keep these in these little containers. This is from, I think, Marigolds. It's like a little photo storage thing. And I just break it up into different sections. Like, this is my onions. I label them. When you go to the store, you're going to see, oh my gosh, there's so many different ones. If you're just beginning, read over them and see, okay, well, I think this one will fit because I have more sun or I have more shade. Just get 1 or 2 varieties to start out with. Now, I mean, I have lots. I'm a seed hoarder. I probably have 5 of these containers full of seeds. But I do flowers, vegetables, everything. Don't use all the seeds. They last. Even if it says on here expires, it's sell by 11/21. They're good for 3 or 4 or 5 years if you're storing them correctly. Cool, dry place. I've known people 10 years starting grandma's seeds they found on a cabinet somewhere in an envelope. So, also, at the end of the, save your own seeds. Dry them and put them in envelopes. This is a Starry Night hibiscus. I could have dried it and pulled out the individual seeds and done it. I think I was in a rush, but I just put it in a I let it dry, put it in a resealable envelope, and it's the whole pot. So it is dried, and there's probably 30 or 40 seeds per pod, and I got 3 pods in there. Way more than what I need. Share with your neighbor. Share with other gardeners. We have a Garland County plant sale coming up April 21st through 23rd, I believe, at the Garland County Fairgrounds. Come and see what kind of plants we have. You might can find something that you haven't grown or something you saw about that's already there. Libraries has seed banks in them so that you can go and get seeds out to start. So, trying to think of different ways. There's tons. You can reach out to a gardener. They'd love to share. We all I know most gardeners are like me. Like I said, I probably got 200 seedlings of pepper started. I'm not planting them all. I do like to plant and I do like to share with my friends and sell at the farmer's market. But don't be afraid. Let it be something of joy for you. Also, I wanted to share. I put these on the table so I wouldn't forget. It's a little bit late, but you can go ahead and start your potatoes. They sell seed potatoes at your farmer's market. Not farmer's market, but your feed store, Atwood's, Tractor Supply. They got little eyes on them. Plant them down with the eye up. Cover them with good rich compost. And as the plant comes, just keep pouring the dirt and compost on them. Like I said, I like to start them in these felt bags. I grow all of my potatoes, onions, garlic, and stuff in felt bags. This is some little onions. You have short day, long day. Long day onions is what you need for in the summertime. Short day is in the fall. But if it's the only thing you can find, you can go ahead and plant them. They just won't get as big around. But you can still use the chives on them. I think I just planted walking Egyptian onions this year, and they just kind of fall over and start a new plant. So you kind of use it like chives. You chop it up and stuff. Join us in a few months after you done got your garden started and everything's going, and join us for another note to grow it when we'll show you how to preserve your food. I look forward to talking with everybody and showing you how to take your bounty that you grew in your garden and using it to preserve, to eat throughout the winter, and to share with friends and family. Again, thank you for joining in with us tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end of this video, and I look forward to it. You can follow me at Honey Hole Homestead Mountain Facebook page and message me for any questions about anything, and I'd love to share with y'all. Again, thank y'all.